I'm calling a delusion the belief that science already understands the nature of reality, in principle, leaving only the details to be filled in. And a lot of people who don't know much about science think that science has already told us all we need to know about the fundamental nature of things. The mind is in the brain, nature is purposeless, matter is unconscious, psychic phenomena are illusory, the laws of nature are fixed. Things like that are taken by most people to be the scientific worldview. And yet it turns out they're all just assumptions. They're aspects of the materialist philosophy of nature. And I'm arguing that science is not a belief system, it's a method of inquiry. And actually the foundational myth of science is one that suggests that it's primarily a method of free inquiry. Its foundational myth really is the Galileo trial, where Galileo is seen by scientists as this hero who fought against the dogmatism of the Roman Church, and who stood for free thinking, free inquiry, evidence-based thought, and so forth. Now, I think there are some scientists who've actually lived up to that ideal. In the 19th century, there were quite a lot of independent scientists. Charles Darwin was one. A lot of science was done in the past by independent investigators. Darwin was basically an amateur naturalist who funded his own research, never had a government job, grant or academic post. So there was, to some extent, that was true, but it's not very much not true today. Most scientists are now working for institutions. Science is heavily institutionalized. It's a career structure. Scientists are all on very short leashes in relation to grants. Everything's peer-reviewed, which at its best gives quality control, but at its worst is a very conservative force and means people are not prepared to do anything unusual, controversial. They want to do something that's safe and more or less predictable. So science has lost a lot of its vigour and adventurousness as it's become a career structure, and to remain part of that career structure, most scientists feel they need to pay at least lip service to the materialist philosophy. Many of them don't actually believe it, but they go along with it in public because they know that that's the way to further their careers or not rock the boat. And I think this is proving extremely inhibitory to the genuine spirit of science, which is one of free inquiry. And that's why I've written this book, The Science Delusion.
Now I'm going to discuss how we would look for a new law. In general, we look for a new law by the following process. First, we guess it. Then we well, don't laugh, that's really true. Then we compute the consequences of the guess to see what, if this is right, if this law that we guessed is right, we see what it would imply, and then we compare those computation results to nature, or we say compare to experiment or experience, compare it directly with observation to see if it works. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. And that simple statement is the key to science. It doesn't make a difference how beautiful your guess is, it doesn't make a difference how smart you are who made the guess, or what his name is. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. That's all there is to it.